So what is SEL? SEL, social emotional learning, is the process of developing the self-awareness, self-control, and interpersonal skills that are vital for school, work, and life success. As you all know, I'm sure that your kids are at the age where it's like hard for them to express themselves. So we are trying our best to help our students and your babies express themselves in the appropriate way. I know there was just the tragedy of the CVPA shooting. So kids were having a hard time processing that, and we want to do better as a school to help students process those emotions and everything else. Um, so one of the skills for SEL is self-awareness, is being self-aware. Um, Self-awareness is the ability to focus on yourself and how your actions, thoughts, or emotions do not align with your internal standards. There are two states of self-awareness, which is public self-awareness, being aware of how we can appear to others, and private self-awareness, being able to notice and reflect on one's internal state. It's vital for students to practice these skills. Um, yeah. Another one is self-control. Self-control is a restraint exercise over one's own impulses, emotions, and desires. A lot of middle schoolers, because of puberty, they struggle with this. Their bodies are just going like out of control. So expressing themselves and having that self-control is like one that a lot of kids are struggling with. And me personally, with my day-to-day job, I go over some coping skills and just like talks with them on how to express themselves or how to control these emotions that they're not so sure of, like what even this emotion is, or how to just like let it out in like a healthy way. So yeah, and like I said, feel free to to stop me if you have any questions. Just go off mute whenever you would like. So oops. The next one is interpersonal skills. Interpersonal skill is the ability to interact with others through effective listening and communication. It is important for students to have interpersonal skills because it helps them connect with people and it benefits their personality development too. So generally, students learn interpersonal skills at school itself with their teachers and classmates. However, still there are some students who lack interpersonal skills due to various reasons, mostly from being like an introvert. And, you know, some adults are introverts. I'm an introvert myself, but learning how to talk to like adults rather than talking to like how your students like talk with their friends is like a skill that all students need to practice. I like see it like on the day to day. A group of kids will be talking amongst themselves, but as soon as I like talking, like it's kind of hard for them to turn off like that language that they use, and I'm like, ooh, I'm an adult, I'm a staff member, so working with kids with that is also very, very major. Excuse me. Some examples of interpersonal skills are listening, verbal communication, nonverbal communication, teamwork, and creative thinking. I know listening is like one of the most important ones, I feel like, because I know like sometimes when I'm at work and I'm trying to do work and a kid is talking to me about something, but it's like very, very serious to them. If I'm not completely focused on that, I might miss like a minor detail. A major detail that is really, really important to them, and that could help me help them better in the long run. So it's important to like listen to your kids, drop what you're doing for that moment for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, however long it takes, just to like really, really listen to your kid, because if they're actually telling you about something, that means it's like really, really serious, and it's like weighing on them very, very heavily, because a lot of kids, like, they don't even like to talk anyway. So if they're trying to open up to you in that moment, like, just drop everything if you can and like listen to them, or always circle back to them when you get that chance. If there's anything else on this slide. So yeah, teamwork. we do a lot of this at Kairos. So they have projects, as you all know, that is worth like 70% of their grade. They participate in group work. We try to do like team building exercises amongst the kids, even having like mentor groups where they talk with each other and learn to collab with one another on projects, or trying to get implement new things into Kairos, such as like they want a vending machine, so they're like working on writing a letter and trying to get funding for that, doing fundraisers and stuff, all that stuff. Creative thinking. So throughout their schooling, kids are required to work on assignments, projects, and also they participate in events and competitions outside of school too. So students need to excel their creativity, their creative thinking, to be successful at every level. Some deficient interpersonal skills. A great majority of students in interpersonal skills are lacking following COVID, and the great variety of social media content we're exposed daily. One second, guys. Oops, I have to let some people into the waiting room. Sorry. All right. Yeah, so back, sorry guys for the waiting. Some deficient interpersonal skills. A great majority of students' interpersonal skills are lacking following COVID, and the great variety of social media content they are exposed to daily. Social media is just, I hate it personally for our kids, but it's really, it's hindering their interpersonal skills and just like their development with communication in general. So we as educators, we are constantly trying to close that gap and assist our students in improving in these areas. So this is where parents, you all come in. Parents' input in this process is vital to foster and develop and maintain positive relationships, decision-making skills, develop perspective, talking skills, and build emotional intelligence. If what is being modeled at school is modeled at home, then these skills are easier to align. So like I said, talking to your kids, monitoring their phones, monitoring their text messages. I know it like seems invasive, but they're kids. They need that kind of hovering at this age, because they're like, everything is on social media. They have access to anything. So being like that helicopter parent is like better in the long run, and they will appreciate it in, when they get older. So these are like some social medias that every kid mostly uses. I know TikTok is very, very popular, and Instagram. But like when there's issues at school, most of the issues are on either TikTok or Instagram. Yeah, those were some of the social medias. There are hundreds and more being created every single day. Continue to monitor your kids' access to social media. I know kids can like hide apps. There's like apps where you can hide like their Instagram, that you can have a Finsta where they have like a fake Instagram account, and they're posting like all the stuff they don't want you to see, and they're posting all the proper stuff on their main account. Having access to that password, having access to just access it at all to all of their apps is what needs to be done. Make sure that no one else is in this waiting room. One other person. All right. I'm gonna go back to the presentation. So yeah, some of the effects of social media. Kids can become addicted to social media. Exposure to inappropriate content. Like I said, they have access to thousands, millions of things on the internet. Most of the things don't even ask for like permission or consent that you are over 18 nowadays. So they have access to so many things. Sharing personal information, which is, They can share their addresses. They can share their age and their location. I know we see like even with celebrities like sharing their locations on Instagram, and like then people who are like out to get them, they come and kill them over on social media because they posted their exact location in there at their exact time. Cyberbullying is prominent in all schools right now. People reposting pictures of kids, taking pictures of them while they're out in public, and then like making fun of them. And social comparison, which is I see a lot of it with our teenage girls. They are insecure about how they look or insecure about their bodies, and they are comparing themselves to somebody on social media who has like 1,000 filters on their face. So paying attention to all of that and monitoring it is like so important. Here are a few monitoring apps that you all can check out. I will screenshot this and I can send it to you all if anyone is interested in them. I don't have any kids, so I don't know what these apps are, but I have heard of Screen Time, and it's very, very beneficial. Any questions so far? I will pause for a second. All right. So yeah, if you guys need any assistance, the school counselor, Miss Neal, is available from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Here is her email. You guys can jot that down. And also the RJC. So myself is available, and then our director of culture, Miss Henderson, she is also available. We kind of work really, really closely to Miss Neal on the day-to-day. So if you can't get a hold of her, if you can reach out to one of us, yeah, that'd be great as well. The other aspect, well, before I move on, does anybody have any other questions? Let me check the chat. Nope. All right. If anybody doesn't have any questions, then I am going to, oh, is that a question? Nope. All right. Well, I am going to pass it over to Miss Shavers if she is ready to go.
Hey, how's everybody doing tonight? Haley, would you mind sharing the document?
Yes, I'm right now.
So I just wanted to take a second. So my name is Marnay Shavers. I'm the chief of staff. I wanted to take a second to come here and talk to you guys about media literacy and basically how we as a community, and you specifically as parents, can help to support students in just ensuring they're safe. So Haley talked about the social emotional effects of social media. So here are just some tangible tips and resources that we're going to go through together. So, you can just add to your tool book of parenting. So first, it's digital citizenship. Would you mind scrolling down the tab? So it's important to teach our students about what digital citizenship is, because all of us, right now we're on this Zoom meeting, right? So we're a part of the World Wide Web. Digital citizenship is just interacting responsibly as community members. So I think some of the things like that have helped, as an educator, is talking to students about how they use social media. When things come up and they complain, oh, my friend did this, or this person chatted that, asking them how they feel about some of the things that they see on social media, even if they have to do with them or not. Because when you think of a citizen, it includes, just being responsible and taking ownership of not just, your actions, but being an advocate and sharing things like, hey, if a friend does something, or a family member or colleague, speaking up and just, being part of the general community. So general tools for online safety that are important to talk about with students is ensuring that the passwords and all of the software and things are secure. So when you see your kids on, different websites, just inquiring and asking like, oh, what's that? Or where'd you get that? Do you have a membership, etc.? Because sometimes we will log onto a website that interests us, click a link, and then all of a sudden they have access to our personal data and information. I recall an instance in which when I was a teacher, I had students and they just kept watching this, this random video. And one day I'm like, what video? Like what's the video? They look like Roblox, right? And it looks like they are just these random little Legos, but they do like, like it's like deeper, right? So just paying attention and asking questions like, what are you looking at? What's the content of that message? And engaging in those conversations with students, I think is a great practice. And then asking them, what are you doing online to keep yourself safe? All right. And here are some tidbits about protecting your details and data and, having these conversations with students. Sometimes, I've had instances when, sharing with, talking to students, they sometimes share a little too much information. Like Haley just spoke of, sometimes it's easy for them to share their location, or sometimes they're in chat boards or PG Pub, like they have all of these games and apps and technology in which they share. So when you're talking to your students, I think sometimes just having those points, like what exactly are you sharing online? What types of content do you share most? Because sometimes kids think, oh, I'm going bowling with my friend, etc. That's not a big deal, but you share that on Snapchat or Instagram, wherever, and someone, there are people who are out there who can do harm. And I think sometimes in working with youth, there are little bits of information that they share that they don't think is a big deal, that as a family, if you like collaborate on it and decide like, well, this is what we're sharing, this is what we aren't, I think that'll be helpful practice. Here are just some tidbits on ensuring responsibility online, having candid conversations with students, like what's going on, what do you see when you're online with your friends, what's the latest that's happening, because transparently, that's how we find out a lot of things as staff members, from just engaging in random conversations with the kids. And those tidbits of information help us to combat bullying and have a lot of conversations. Because right now, like, school is not what it used to be, where everything happened at school on the playground. They have another social world online that they have access to 24 hours. So as many ways as we can come together as a community to ensure that we're having open dialogue about what's happening online and communicating with one another about that, it'll help us to combat bullying, abusive behavior, and a lot of incidents that end up bubbling up at school as an effect of what is going on those phones. And here are a few other ways to just start the conversations with the kids. How do you make good decisions online? I think dialogue about, well, what is a good decision? What is a bad decision? Asking them how they can tell if something online is suspicious. Hacking is at an all-time high. But I will say students, they can sometimes be more up to date with what's not real and what is real online. But I think like they're super helpful. So they can be the teachers in that arena, but still making dialogue and space for those conversations to happen is important in protecting them emotionally, physically, and all of that in the online space. Yes, I think speaking to this digital reputation is super important as well with students. One thing that we found as educators is sometimes, middle schoolers and high schoolers, all of our students are between the ages of 10 and like 15, right? They sometimes don't think long-term about some of the things they post. So, there's this misconception that things, okay, you put it on Snapchat, they delete. Yeah, they delete from the general public, but you have a digital reputation and a digital footprint. So instilling that information with the students, like, oh, like if somebody asks you, or if somebody Googled you, what would they find out? And relaying the message that you think this is temporary, or you think you're just sending the text message, etc., or a video. But once it's on the phone, once it's on the internet, it is gone. Sometimes just simply saying that for students, they'll look like, oh my God, you serious? Yes. Like, even if you think you deleted it, it's not gone. And you want to just be really careful about people seeing you, because I think honestly, having those dialogues about instances, in which a friend or a friend has had an experience with being Googled, or, someone, they're posting stuff that maybe they don't want anyone to see. Having those conversations and having that transparency, it helps when speaking with the students at school. All right. And we always want to encourage our students to speak positively with one another, of course. And, shouting each other out. Make sure you guys stay in tune to the Kairos weekly updates. We like to share good news there. And then lastly, unplugging. We are encouraging our community, staff, students, everyone to unplug. One thing I think about is the fact that we all were forced to be online just a year or two ago. And, it's like, you gotta, you don't have those different social interactions. So one thing I've seen is more people, there's no data to back this. This is just me thinking, right? It seems as if after the pandemic, there's a larger reliance on technology, because it was one of the things that kept us connected. But it's important to still set those times to just disconnect 5-10 minutes a day, put the phone down, start a timer, to just connect with yourself and your surroundings. We ask students to not use their cell phones in class. It is a rule. We sent out some new correspondence around, because, last year students couldn't have cell phones at all. Now they can use them at lunch or at recess. But one of those things, and it's a great way to connect them to like the why, right? Like, we don't want you to use your phone in class. Why not? Because we need you to be present, we need you to be engaged, and we need you to be learning. So just like they can't use it for 45 minutes at school, maybe adding a rule where they can't use it in the evening, so they can do something that helps them to connect to the family or the world at large. Any questions or comments about any of this social media resource? We can add this to the chat. I'd love for you guys to tap if possible, or come to type or come off mute to share which one of these tips was most helpful for you, or a way in which you can see yourself implementing it. Same, unplug. All righty.
All right, Marnay, there is one more tips like slideshow. If you want to go over that real briefly, just like a tip card.
Sure. Yeah, and we're gonna if we could put these in the chat, I think that'll be super helpful. Maybe we'll add them to the next weekly email for everyone. But this is just an overview of resources and things that we encourage you not just to read yourself, but to share with the broader community. It's a very quick tip list on like how to support your teens in using online resources and technology, because it's not going away, right? So one of the big things I think is to highlight in this document is 7 in 10 young people are victims of cyberbullying, and 37% experience it on a frequent basis. So that means 70% of our kids are experiencing this digital world, and they have these interactions online. So that tells me that we need to pay a lot more attention to what's going on online and ensuring that we have those conversations. Hence why we're talking about this now. And if you have any tips or things that have worked as I'm reviewing this document, if you could just share it in the chat for the other parents and educators on the call, that'd be awesome. But we want to ensure that we're creating an open and honest environment with kids, starting conversations about social media, not just today or tomorrow, but like ensuring that it's like a constant. Just like you asked, what did you do at school today? Or what did this person say? What's the latest thing you've seen online? Because sometimes it's not just interactions with friends, but there could also be, new trends that come out. And those trends, they affect us, guys. Like we at school, because we're the place where kids come to, to learn, right? We spend a lot of time with them. So when those trends happen, if you could text a coach, share it with us. We just got to keep the conversation going because, we deal with the trends a lot. Um, and watching changes in behavior. So if you notice that your student is coming home and they're more withdrawn, or even they're more active, they don't want to use the internet, or they're all of a sudden obsessed over the internet, or like always talking about what this person said on Snapchat, starting conversations around that. Because one thing we see is a lot of students, like, kids, they tend to wear their emotions on their faces, or just in their energy, in their being all day. So as their parents or caregivers, you know them more than we do, so it will be easier for you to probably pick up on some of those things and report them, so we can see what we can do as a community to support, because we need you guys, you need us. That's the only way we're going to, ensure that our students are safe. Would you scroll down to the next document? Thank you. All right, so these are different resources, online resources that are backed by the US government, like the Federal Trade Commission. These documents are other resources too that'll help you to honestly track and look at what is going on with, students and their online duties or activity. Yeah. So we will ensure that you guys have these. Does anyone have any questions or feedback on these resources? Do they seem helpful to you at all, or? Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Marnay, for joining the call. If no one has any questions, that's all that I have for you all today. If you have a question that comes up later, just reach out to me. My name is Haley. My email is haley.burke, burke, at kairosAcademies.org. And also reach out to Miss Neal. So yeah, thank you all for joining tonight. And if there are no questions, then you guys can go ahead and exit.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Good evening.
Oh, Anna, I didn't see you on the call. Oh, Shavi. Hey. Are you still recording, Haley?
Oh shoot, I am.